Yo, what is up everybody? It's your name and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the world of workplace fails, the kind of stuff that makes you question how some people even manage to tie their shoes in the morning. We're talking about the dumbest workers in the world. These are the people who threw caution to the wind, said hold my beer to common sense, and paid the price in the most epic ways imaginable. Get ready to cringe, laugh, and maybe even learn a thing or two about what not to do on the job. Let's do this. Our first contestant in the Dumbest Workers Olympics is a guy who clearly skipped the day they were teaching safety protocols at work. This Einstein was working construction on a skyscraper. You know, one of those jobs where one wrong step can send you plummeting hundreds of feet. Yeah, well, this genius decided to take a shortcut across some scaffolding. That wasn't fully built yet. You can probably guess what happened next. Yep, down he went like a discount skydiver. Luckily, he landed in a pile of soft material, but seriously, who needs safety harnesses and common sense when you've got luck on your side, right? Wrong. Coming in hot at number 2 on our list of workplace wonders is a shining example of what happens when you treat hazardous materials like they're your grandma's cookies. This brain surgeon was working in a chemical plant, surrounded by warning signs, flashing lights, and enough danger to make a hazmat suit sweat. But did that stop our hero from taking a little unauthorized snack break? Nope, not even a little bit. This guy decided that the best way to wash down his PB&J was with a refreshing swig from an unmarked container. Spoiler alert, it wasn't Mountain Dew. The result? Let's just say he spent the next few weeks getting intimately acquainted with the inside of an ambulance and a hospital room. Hold on to your hard hats, folks, because our next contestant on the Dumbest Workers Countdown is a real head case. You won't believe the level of carelessness we're about to witness. We're talking about a construction worker who must have thought gravity was just a suggestion. It's almost as if he believed the laws of physics didn't apply to him. This guy was tasked with operating a crane, you know, that massive machine that lifts heavy objects with ease. It's a job that requires precision and attention to detail. Yeah, well, this rocket scientist decided to skip the part in the manual about securing the load properly. He must have thought he could wing it without any consequences. He probably thought, what's the worst that could happen? Famous last words, am I right? It's almost like he was tempting fate. As you can imagine, the unsecured load decided to take an unscheduled detour. It was a disaster waiting to happen, and happen it did. And by detour, I mean it came crashing down with the force of 1,000 suns, narrowly missing a group of unsuspecting co-workers. It was a close call that could have ended in tragedy. Securing your equipment isn't just about following the rules, it's about respecting the power of the tools you're using and protecting the lives of those around you. Safety protocols exist for a reason, and ignoring them can have dire consequences. Welcome back to the Dumbest Workers Show, where we celebrate the champions of questionable decisions. Today we have a special treat for you. Our next guest star is a factory worker who clearly thought safety guards were for the weak and cowardly. He must have believed that rules were just suggestions. This guy was operating some heavy machinery, the kind of stuff that could turn a human into a human pretzel, faster than you can say OSHA violation. We're talking about machines that could crush, slice, and dice in the blink of an eye. But did he listen to the safety protocols, the warning signs, the flashing lights, the common sense screaming in his ear? Of course not. He probably thought he was invincible or just too smart for those silly rules. This daredevil decided to bypass the machine safeguards. You know, those things that are there to literally save your limbs from being turned into industrial confetti. He removed the guards like they were optional accessories. Yeah, he thought he could outsmart a machine designed by engineers who actually know a thing or two about safety. He tampered with the equipment, thinking he was some kind of mechanical genius. The result? Let's just say he's lucky he can still count to 10 with his remaining fingers. A painful lesson learned the hard way. Machine safeguards are there for a reason, and that reason is to keep you in one piece. They are not just bureaucratic red tape, they are life-saving measures. Don't be like this guy. Follow the safety protocols, use the safeguards, and keep all your fingers intact. Learn from his mistake and stay safe out there. Fasten your seatbelts and get ready for a wild ride as we dive into the world of traffic violations with our next dumbest worker contender. This guy took the phrase road rage to a whole new level. We're talking about a delivery driver who clearly thought stop signs were just suggestions and red lights were a decorative feature of the cityscape. This guy was weaving through traffic like he was in a Fast and Furious movie, except without the cool cars or the driving skills. He was cutting off cars, running red lights, and basically treating the road like his own personal Mario Kart track. And just like in Mario Kart, his reckless driving eventually caught up with him. But instead of a blue shell, this guy got a one-way ticket to a crumpled heap of metal and regret. Welcome back to the Dumbest Workers Awards, where we celebrate the people who make us question the existence of common sense. Tonight we have a special treat for you, a story that will make you laugh, cringe, and maybe even shed a tear for the poor machinery involved. Our next nominee is a technician who clearly thought instruction manuals were for mere mortals. He believed that his sheer willpower and intuition would be enough to conquer any technical challenge. This guy was tasked with fixing a complex piece of machinery, the kind of thing that requires precision, patience, and a healthy dose of following directions. The machinery was intricate, with countless wires and components that needed to be handled with care. But did our hero consult the manual, ask for help, or even bother to Google how to do it? Nope. He decided that manuals were for the weak and that he could figure it out on his own. He decided to wing it because how hard could it be, right? With a confident smirk, he dove into the task, making guesses and improvising as he went along. Well, turns out, pretty darn hard. As the minutes turned into hours, his confidence began to wane, and frustration set in. The machine was not cooperating, and neither was his intuition. This guy's idea of fixing the machine involved a lot of head-scratching, some questionable wiring choices, and a whole lot of hoping for the best. He was essentially playing a high-stakes game of trial and error. Spoiler alert, it didn't go well. The machine started malfunctioning, sparks flew, and our technician's face turned from confident to horrified in a matter of seconds. Instead of fixing the machine, he managed to turn it into a very expensive, very useless piece of scrap metal. The once functional equipment was now a monument to his overconfidence and lack of preparation. Instructions are your roadmap to success, and avoiding a catastrophic disaster. So next time, maybe give that manual a read before diving in head first. It could save you a lot of trouble and a lot of money. Hold on to your tool belts, folks, because our next contestant on the Dumbest Workers Countdown is a real piece of work. We're talking about a guy who clearly missed the memo about using the right tools for the job. This Einstein was assigned a task that required a specific piece of equipment, let's say a power drill. But instead of grabbing a fully functional, safety-checked drill, this genius decided to go rogue. He dug deep into the depths of the tool shed and emerged triumphantly with a rusty, duct-taped, clearly seen better days power drill that looked like it had been through a blender and lost. Welcome back to the Dumbest Workers Show, where we showcase the people who make us wonder how humanity has survived this long. Our next guest star is a shining example of what happens when you ignore the golden rule of maintenance is key. This mastermind was responsible for the upkeep of, let's say, a fleet of delivery trucks. But did this employee take his job seriously? Did he schedule regular maintenance checks, oil changes, and tire rotations? Did he even bother to look under the hood? Nope. He figured if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and boy, was he in for a rude awakening. One by one, those delivery trucks started falling apart like a house of cards in a hurricane. Get ready for another round of head-scratching moments as we continue our countdown of the dumbest workers in the world. Our next contestant is a master of efficiency, or at least he thought he was. This guy was all about taking shortcuts, finding the quickest, easiest way to get the job done, even if it meant throwing caution and common sense to the wind. He was assigned a task that required multiple steps, let's say, assembling a piece of furniture. But not our hero. He decided to skip a few steps because who needs those pesky instructions, right? He figured he could save time and effort by cutting corners, but what he ended up cutting was his pride. And maybe a few fingers. The furniture he assembled looked less like a masterpiece and more like an abstract art project. And finally, we've reached the top of the mountain, the creme de la creme, the ultimate champion of questionable decisions. Our final dumbest worker is a shining example of what happens when you ignore those pesky little things called warnings. This guy was operating some heavy machinery, the kind of stuff that could level a building faster than a wrecking ball. And as you might expect, this machinery came with a whole bunch of warning signs, flashing lights, and safety protocols designed to keep the operator safe and sound. But did our hero pay attention to these warnings? Did he heed the advice of safety experts and seasoned professionals? Did he even glance at the giant red button that said, "Do not press"? Nope. He threw caution to the wind, ignored every single warning sign, and went full speed ahead into the danger zone. Well, there you have it, folks, the top 10 dumbest workers in the world. We've seen it all, from ignoring safety protocols to mishandling hazardous materials, and let's be honest, it's been equal parts hilarious and terrifying. But remember, behind every epic fail is a valuable lesson to be learned. So the next time you're on the job, take a moment to think before you act. Follow the rules, and don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. Thanks for watching. Remember, always follow safety protocols and instructions to avoid disasters like these. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more.